So, this story I will tell of myself, and I once met 3 travellers on the road. One of them was a prince, dressed in fine silks and regalia. One of them was a soldier, dressed in armour, carrying a sword at his side. And one of them, the least of the 3, was a storyteller, dressed in a cloak and rags. And I asked the 3 of them the same question: how would they save the world? The first of them, the prince, who stood forward first, for he was highest in rank, said, "Well, to answer that question, I shall have to tell you a story." And this was the prince's story. Once there was a great gem, a gem such that all the peoples of the British Isles coveted it. But it was lost, hidden in a forest, somewhere in the middle of England. The place is now not known. But the kings of the British Isles all decided that they must come and look for the treasure. And not only the kings of the humans, but the kings of the pixies, the kings of the little folk, all brought their followers to this forest. And the first group to go in and have a look were boggarts, swarthy, sly creatures, used to clubs and stones. You may be aware that some of them still live in the peaks. And the boggarts ran in. They wanted to find the jewel. They all wanted to find the jewel. They ran in, tree to tree, to tree to tree, each one clustering around the next tree, then the next tree, then the next tree. And rather quickly, as boggarts are, of course, want to do, they broke out into quite an argument. And they went to the next tree and the next tree, until pretty soon they were starting knocking each other unconscious. And, of course, a few hours later, a few drab little boggarts wandered back to Sheffield. The next group that came were the redcaps. Vicious creatures, redcaps. Never meet a redcap. Creatures of the Scottish borders. They say that the reason their caps are red is that they are soaked in blood. Backstabbers. And the redcaps were coming, and they thought, well, each of us should go and find one tree. It will cover the forest much more quickly. But of course, each redcap was jealous of the next, and so each thought that his tree would be the one, but that it would be their neighbour's tree. And so pretty quickly, as redcaps want to do, they started fighting, brawling, stabbing. It's not known how many redcaps came out of the forest, but it was rather less than went into it. And then finally, the pixies of Cornwall came up. And the pixies, and the queen of the pixies, again, gave each of her followers a tree. And all of them, after devotion to their queen, devotion to their duty, they searched their tree, and of course, a few hours later, it was they who came out with the jewel. And so the prince said to me, think on this story, and if you wish to save the world, make plans for it. But then the soldier, who of course disagreed, came up and said, but I will tell you a second story. And my story is a story of 2 kingdoms. 2 kingdoms who were terrorised by a great dragon. And in these kingdoms, the 2 kings had rather different ideas of how to deal with the dragon. For one king was a soldier and one king was a philosopher. And the philosopher said, what is good in life is to be calm and to resist stoically. And so my people shall not wield sword or axe, club or mace. My knights shall, and we shall do what we can against any comers. but my kingdom shall be at peace. But the soldier king said, no. What makes a man or a woman stand on their own 2 feet is defence, is being able to stand up as an individual. And so let each house in my land be given a sword, an axe, a bow. And so of course it was that when the dragon came, it was the kingdom of peaceable folk who were burned. And so the soldier said to me, think on this. And if you would save the world, let each man stand for themselves. If you wish to save the world, give them weapons to fight it with. And then the prince and the soldier started wandering on. And sitting by the side of the road, I looked to the storyteller. And he said to me, well, listen, and I will tell you how to save the world. And the story he told me was not of kingdoms or gems. It was of a simple field. A field with 3 trees. And in the trees, at the top of the trees, lived a great owl. And at the bottom of each of the trees lived a family. In one, the shrews. In one, the mice. In one, the voles. And shrews, of course, are far too small to be seen talking to mice. And the voles consider themselves far above mice or shrews. And so these 3 families talk to each other very little. And then came nightfall, and the owl hunted. And it took the shrew family, all of them. And as the last shrew fled from the field, thought, if only we had had some help. And then there were the mice and the voles. And of course the voles would not talk to the mice, and the mice would never talk to the voles. And so the second night came, and the owl hunted. And then the mice eaten, every one. And so when the owl had come for the shrews, the mice and the voles did nothing. The owl came for the mice, and the voles did nothing. And of course, on the third night, the owls hunted. And then, what more was there of the voles? And so, he said to me, this you must understand, and this you must think on. It is understanding why we are alike, and why we're different, and who we are that is most important of all. And so if you wish to save the world, do not give them plans, do not give them swords. If you wish to save the world, he said, tell them stories. And so he walked on and followed the other 2. And those were the stories of the 3. And I suppose the only thing I can say further to that is which of them I listened to. And as to that, this was a story.